A bunch of rockets launched this week, including an unannounced Long March 4B from China, and a Falcon 9 with a Dragon capsule bound for the International Space Station. So with that, be sure to hit the like button, and may the 4th be with us as we dive right into this week's Space Bulletin for May 4th, 2019. In a surprise launch on Monday, April 29th, a Chinese Long March 4B rocket sent 2 Tianyu satellites into orbit. Liftoff occurred at 22:52 UTC from the Taiyuan Space Center in northeastern China. According to the Chinese government-run Xinhua news agency, the 44-meter-tall 3-stage rocket delivered the satellites into a 500-kilometer orbit inclined 97.5 degrees from the equator. The spacecraft are designed for scientific experiments and land mapping, but no other information was released about this unannounced mission. Following the successful launch, the first stage was seen falling to the ground near a small town downrange from the Space Center. Video of the stage was posted on Chinese social media sites. While warned, it's not uncommon for Chinese rocket stages to fall near lightly inhabited parts of the country. On April 30th, NASA Launch Service Program investigators released the findings of a decade-long probe into the back-to-back failures of 2 Taurus XL rockets in 2009 and 2011, which failed to orbit the space agency's orbiting Carbon Observatory and Glory missions. According to investigators, the root cause for the failures were faulty materials provided by aluminum manufacturer Sapa Profiles Incorporated that prevented the payload fairing from deploying. Outlined in a U.S. Department of Justice press release, the manufacturer agreed to pay $46 million to NASA, the Department of Defense, and other government agencies to resolve criminal charges and civil claims related to a 19-year fraud scheme that included falsifying thousands of certifications for aluminum extrusions provided to hundreds of customers. However, at the time, NASA could not identify the root cause because Sapa Profiles altered test results and provided false certifications to Orbital Sciences Corporation, the then manufacturer of the Taurus XL. According to NASA, the 2 failures resulted in the loss of more than $700 million worth of hardware and years of people's scientific work. Sapa Profiles, now known as Hydro Extrusion Portland, is excluded from contracting throughout the federal government. Just after 13:30 UTC, May 2nd, Blue Origin launched an unpiloted suborbital New Shepard rocket from its facility in West Texas. The 18-meter rocket and capsule flew to an altitude of about 105 kilometers with 38 experiments aboard the system's capsule, including 9 from NASA's Flight Opportunities program. According to Blue Origin, the experiments were from a variety of schools, universities, government agencies, and private companies. Once New Shepard's lone BE-3 engine finished propelling the stack to a speed of 3,500 kilometers per hour, the booster and capsule separated. During the descent, the capsule performed a parachute-assisted touchdown, while the booster successfully performed a powered landing at a nearby landing pad some 7 minutes after launch. This was the 11th New Shepard flight and the 5th for the company's 3rd booster serial number. Also this week, the International Space Station suffered a partial electrical grid failure. On April 29th, ground teams in Houston identified an issue centered around one of the 4 main bus switching units that distribute electrical power across the outpost, shutting down 2 of the outpost's 8 power channels. While there was no immediate concern for the Expedition 59 crew, it did prompt NASA to postpone the planned May 1st launch of SpaceX's CRS-17 Dragon capsule. This allowed engineers on the ground to remotely control the Dexter robotic hand to swap the failed unit with a spare. After 2 days of work, this task was completed on May 2nd and the station restored to full power. With the switching units swapped, SpaceX's CRS-17 mission with 2,500 kilograms of supplies and experiments was cleared to launch. Liftoff atop the company's Falcon 9 rocket was expected to take place at 7:11 UTC May 3rd from Cape Canaveral Air Force Station's Space Launch Complex 40 in Florida. While the weather was the main concern that night with only a 40% chance of acceptable conditions, in reality 2 technical issues, an electrical issue with the recovery drone ship and a ground-side helium leak, forced a 24-hour scrub to May the 4th. With nothing to stop them this time, the Falcon blasted its way out of Cape Canaveral at 6:48 UTC, and following a 9-minute ascent, Dragon was in orbit to begin its 2-day trek to the space station. Rendezvous is slated for 11 o'clock UTC, May 6th, and it will remain at the outpost for about 4 weeks. At the same time as orbital insertion, the Falcon 9's first stage returned to the drone ship Of Course I Still Love You, which was stationed about 28 kilometers off the coast of Cape Canaveral. And those are your highlights for this launch-filled week. As always, you can find these and the latest stories at spaceflightinsider.com. But before you go, be sure to share this video and subscribe to Spaceflight Insider on YouTube if you haven't already, and hit that bell to be notified when more space-related videos are uploaded. May the 4th be with you, and I'll see you next week.